it's me. My uploading schedule is now once every 3 months apparently, so it was time for another video. Yeah, I think it's no secret that I'm still not really uploading regularly, and the thing is I have filmed videos, a couple of them, not much, but I filmed a bookstore vlog and a haul when I was in London in April, so that one is now more than 2 months old. Still haven't edited yet. I also tried to do a vlog, which I managed to do quite a while. Like for an entire week I was very good with doing regular updates, and then I just never finished it and I never edited it, and now all the things in that vlog are very dated. They're not really relevant anymore. I think I talk about the Eurovision Song Contest in there, so yeah, that has been a while as well. And I think it's very much my theme right now is to start things but never finish them. And why? I just don't know. I don't know. I feel like then I find a little bit of motivation to start something, and then the motivation just goes out of the window and I don't do anything anymore. So yeah, I'm just not really sure. It's sort of become a habit to not upload, which is why it's very hard to get back into the habit of uploading, because I do have time to do it. Like, I'm very much more in a more regular schedule with work. I do have time during the weekend. It's just that somehow I never really feel like it, or I want to feel like it. I miss it. I want to do it. But then when it actually comes to doing it, I don't want to do it. Yeah. That's kind of where I'm at right now, and the same thing goes for my reading. So I guess that's also part of the reason. Like, I've talked about, well, not many times because I haven't been uploading many times, but I've talked about being in a reading slump a couple of times now. The thing is, I just feel like getting back into reading has been a bit of a struggle since, I guess, last November or something. I just haven't really felt it. Like, again, the theme of starting things and not finishing them is very relevant, because I start a lot of books and then I never finish them because I just don't feel interested in them anymore. So I try to start books and I do read them for a little while, and then I have a couple of nights where I'm like being good and I read before bed every night what I want to do. And then there's an entire week where I don't do it anymore, and then I have to force myself again to do it. And when I do it, I do like it, and then I feel like, oh, well, I've read a couple of nights, now I can just do an entire night of scrolling through TikTok. And then I do that for another week. And the circle goes on and on. Is it like a real problem? Not really. Of course, it's very much a first world problem. It's not really that important in the grand scheme of things. But for me personally, I just still really want to get back into it. I feel like I keep saying it. I keep saying it on social media and in a video whenever I feel like making one. But yeah, I just want to get back into it. I do miss it. And the times that I can find the motivation to read and I'm really into it, I'm really enjoying it. So I just don't really know what my mind is doing. I'm honestly, I think it's most of the TikTok scrolling. I feel like my concentration has been so messed up ever since then. But yeah, who hasn't been there at this point? So yeah, an internal reading slump. It's not the worst thing ever, but I do want to kind of have a bit of a reading flow again. So this is another video where I attempt to do that, because I thought it might be fun to, yeah, sort of talk about what I try to do when I'm in a reading slump, and also to talk about the books that I'm currently reading. Because there are 3, because I started 3 different books, and then I read about half of them and then I didn't finish them. So maybe this video will hold me accountable to actually finish them. So yeah, usually when, like back in the days when I was in a reading slump before this massive one, I would just like leave it for a little while. I wouldn't push myself too hard, because of course reading is not a chore. You shouldn't do it because you think you have to do it. You should only do it because you want to do it. And usually that would help to just leave it for a little bit, not think about it too much, and then the interest in reading would come back naturally. Well, that tip right now hasn't been working because it's not really coming back in that way. Secondly, I would also try to listen to some audiobooks, because I find that easier. Then I get back into the reading game because I'm listening to an audiobook whilst I'm doing chores, doing something else, going for a walk, whatever. That also hasn't been working that greatly, because for the first time ever, I'm not really into audiobooks. I always listen to audiobooks, but right now I'm just not really feeling it. I usually like prefer to listen to music, or just to not listen to anything at all, or to scroll on TikTok, obviously. Thirdly, I would like reread books that I really love, some of my old favorites. Then I was like still reading but not really absorbing new information, so it would be an easier type of reading. also haven't been really doing that because my favorites, I've been rereading them so many times in the past. Like, I just don't really feel like rereading them for the 100th time. And because I haven't read a lot of new things, I also haven't had a lot of new favorites to reread. So that also isn't really working for me. So not to be on an extremely negative downward spiral, but yeah, the usual tips and tricks, they aren't really doing it for me. So I guess I'm just going to have to wait a little bit longer. Maybe it's going to be a year. Maybe it's going to be multiple years. I hope not. I really hope not. But yeah, I'm just going to give it a try. And yeah, let me talk about the books that I am currently reading, because I am like semi-invested in them. So maybe then I will finish them someday, I don't know. First one is Beneath a Scarlet Sky by Mark Sullivan. This was actually like the subject of the reading vlog that I did a month ago, because that's when I started it. And I read a big chunk of it. I read like about 2/3, if you know, it's more like a half. Let's not be too optimistic about that. And I was into it, I was enjoying it. It is a World War II historical fiction, even though it's not really that much of a fiction because it's based on a real person and a real story. The person it is based on is named Pino Lella Lella, who is an Italian teenager during the Second World War who gets involved in the resistance. But also he comes in a very interesting position where he is the spy of one of Hitler's like most important men in Italy. So he has a very interesting life during the war. Lots of things are happening. This book is basically his entire life story told in a more fictionalized way. I usually love those types of books a lot. I read them often when I'm not in a reading slump. With this one, yeah, I was enjoying it, perfectly fine. Definitely an interesting writing style, an interesting story. But now I'm about halfway through and I feel like it's hitting the very common thing with historical fiction books based on true stories. And that is, it's very long and very descriptive. And it feels like you're more just like reading a long description and then the narrative gets a bit lost somewhere. Again, I feel like that's also a bit of my personal reading mood. I feel like I'm not really able to judge books as I would in a normal reading mood because I get bored more easily with stories. And this one is just, at this point I'm like, okay, I'm not sure if every detail was completely necessary, but of course if it's a true story then you kind of want to honor that and you want to include every detail. But I'm just not really sure about it. Definitely not a bad book, and it's well written, and it's something that maybe under different circumstances I would enjoy a lot more. Right now my enjoyment of it has burned out a bit, and yeah, not really sure. Hopefully I can start it up again soon and get back into it. Maybe I should just focus on something else for a little while, which is exactly what I did. Because then secondly, what I'm currently reading is a non-fiction book, and it's Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker. I thought this is something completely different, so maybe it will sort of, I don't know, interest my mind and become more motivated. It also worked for a little while, and by the way, this book, it's non-fiction. It's basically all about sleep. It tells you about the scientific stories behind sleep, why we need it, why it's good for us, how it works. It's not really a self-help book. It's not really about how to sleep better. Of course, like if you learn these things, you get tips out of it on how to sleep better. But it's mostly about telling you and informing you about how it works. It's also a lot about dreaming, how dreaming works, and it's so interesting. I definitely was interested in this one for quite a bit. I've read quite a bit of it, but then I got bored with the non-fiction part. This one I'm actually not too negative about, because I actually have read quite a bit of it. I haven't read it in order. Like now it seems like I'm like about halfway through, but I actually read the final chapters earlier because I found those interesting, and in the preface he also says you don't have to read this book from beginning to end. You can read whatever subject about sleep you find the most interesting, which is exactly what I did. So it looks like I haven't read much of it, but I actually am quite close to, no, not really finishing it, but I've read quite a big chunk of it. It's very interesting so far. I can definitely recommend it, even though it makes me feel like I've never had a correct sleep of night in my entire life. It feels like I'm just doing everything wrong, but yeah. It is something that I really like to learn about, and when I'm in the mood again, I will definitely continue with it and learn more about especially dreaming. I haven't really read a lot of the chapters about dreaming yet, so we're going to do that. And then when I got bored with this one, I went back to another book that I'm currently reading, and that is one that I'm currently reading right now. This is the one that I'm well, yeah, that I've read about the most recently, and that is Beach Read by Emily Henry. Now, from what I've gathered, Emily Henry has been quite popular on BookTok and I guess also a bit on BookTube. I wouldn't really know because I haven't been much on BookTube. But this is a title that even when in my more not very much BookTube mood has seen around. And it's a romance. It's about two authors. The first one is a woman named January who is a romance author and believes in true love and in beautiful things. And the second one is a literary author named Gus, who is very much about serious writing and serious stories with lots of like difficult and dark topics. They are both in beach houses right next to each other and they both have the same problem, and that is that they have writer's block and they are not continuing with their current novels. Much more is happening. Oh, I'm not even sure. It's not really that much more happening. That's basically it. But yeah, I've read quite a bit of it in a short time because it's a romance. I figured it's a popular title, probably for a reason. And it's romance, so it's a bit easier to get through when it comes to the topic and the writing style. So far, I am pleasantly surprised, I can tell you that, because romance isn't always my thing. I'm very hit or miss with romance because I'm very easily annoyed with some of the tropes and some of the like cliches. But this book so far is actually very interesting. I'm actually quite feeling the romantic vibes and like the characters and everything that is going on. So who knows, maybe this book will be the one to break the cycle. It has been 2 days since I last read some of it again, so that is kind of the cycle that I'm in. But this might be a good one. This might be something that I will definitely enjoy a lot more than I had anticipated. So that is it for my current reading mood, for my current filming mood. I'm not going to talk much more because I feel like then the video will be way too long. The final thing that I will say though is that in 2 weeks time, as of filming this, and I'm definitely planning to upload this before it happens because otherwise it will be such a waste. But I'm going to YALC in London, and YALC is the Young Adult Literature Convention that is held every year in London, even though it hasn't been organized for quite some time because of the pandemic. But I'm going with my booktube friends, my Dutch booktube friends, Brit from Basically Brit, Sabine from Sabine's Book Nook, Leora from the Book Leo, and no, am I doing this correctly? It's Leora from Books with Leo and Leonie from the Book Leo. I always mix them, which everyone does because they are so similar in name and channel name. But yeah, we're going with a group. It's going to be so much fun. I'm going to be there. Cannot wait. If by any chance you're there, I would love to know because I'm actually not really sure who is going to be there. I think there are going to be quite some UK booktubers and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm definitely very excited to go to London again and to be just there with a group of friends having a nice time. So yeah, just talk to me if you are there. I would love to know. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. Don't know when I will be uploading again. Don't know if you are still interested in that London bookstore vlog that I filmed more than 2 months ago. Maybe I will edit it and then you will have like a bookstore vlog where it's very much colder and then everyone is wearing winter coats during the summer. So who knows, I will do that. But for now, I think I've talked enough and hopefully I will see you again sometime. Don't know if it's going to be soon, but sometime. And until then, bye!